Oh, just like the Aspen guy.
Oh yeah.
Suddenly, before I start, Alright, so welcome back to our Ask Property Limbra series. Now today we have a very interesting question, and I think recently we keep getting this kind of question from our audience, which is the should I buy type of question. So probably we should start a should I buy kind of series. So why don't we head in? Alright, so this question asked, should I buy a $2.5 million 4-bedroom condominium, 4 to 5 bedroom strata, landed housing, or should I buy a $2.5 million landed property as my first own stay property? So based on the context of the question, I presume that probably you and your family will need more bedrooms and more space for your family needs for this own stay property, which is the key reason why I think you're asking about a 4-bedroom condo versus a 4 to 5 bedroom kind of strata landed house versus a 2.5 million kind of landed property, which usually will have about 4 bedrooms and above. So let's head in. Alright, so let's talk about all the plus points first of these 3 categories of properties that you're considering, and then we will talk all about the disadvantages and some of the blind spots, and of course lastly we will talk about what will be the likelihood of your future exit audience if you want to sell in the resale market to the next buyer. So the plus points of course owning a condominium is that it is hassle free. You pay a maintenance fee every month. You get to enjoy a wide array of facilities. So comparing these 3 categories, the first category of the condominium project definitely have more facilities if you are going for the medium to the kind of wide scale kind of development compared to boutique developments will definitely have lesser facilities in a sense. So of course if you are looking for a medium to large size project, your kids are going to have a bit more facilities for your family to enjoy, and you pay a maintenance fee every month. There's no need to worry about the facade maintenance. There's no need to worry about whether there's leaking issues because all these will be handled by the MCST. So of course, one of the pros that we see here is that definitely out of these 3, there'll be more choices over here because you get to select from a wide array of condominium choices in terms of the developments in Singapore. Comparing to the strata home, what are the plus points? Usually people will look for strata home if they are thinking of between like a hybrid of getting the 4-bedroom condominium vis-a-vis a pure landed. So what is this hybrid? This hybrid is that you do not have to worry about the maintenance unlike a pure landed. So you can typically just hand off everything to MCST in terms of external facade, external issues, the maintenance of, let's say, the common areas. By paying a maintenance fee, it is actually the same concept as condominium. The only difference is that your house compared to a condominium is actually more like a landed kind of feel with probably 2.5 to 3.5 story. Usually strata properties also comes with a basement as well, and you have your own parking lot. So if you're a hassle-free kind of person, you don't want to worry about maintenance, then strata living will be of course more preferred than pure landed. But of course a lot of people come into this because they couldn't find sizable choices on condominium developments, which is why they move on to the strata landed kind of properties, because probably they really need more space. They find that as newer and newer projects are being built, sizes are getting a little bit more smaller, and they felt that they really don't have much choice to get good size units in the condominium kind of projects, which is why they tend to scale towards a strata kind of living. So of course when you buy a pure landed, there are 2 different components. Basically the first one is the land that you're buying, and land is determined by the land per square foot based on the region, plus of course is it on an appreciation growth every year. You're also buying the building structure itself, which then gives you flexibility in future if you want to tear down the building and rebuild on your land, or do you want to do a major A&A to do some extension, upward extension and stuff like that, or do you just want to renovate the interior. So owning a pure landed lets you own that entire land under your name as a title owner, and at the same time it gives you flexibility as well to determine and decide how you want the outlook of your property to be. So it gives you a lot more flexibility in terms of architecture. It gives you a lot more flexibility if you want to build more bedrooms, as long as you get approval from BCA, from an approved architect and stuff like that. But of course, comparing these three, these are the three advantages that we see in these three properties. And let's say if we were to move on to some of the disadvantages and some of the blind spots, going for the condominium with a 2.5 million budget would then mean that probably if you do a quick search on some of the portals itself, you will find that there are size limitation. Why do I say that? Is because of course new launches in terms of size is getting more efficient, it's getting smaller, and so sometimes especially for big families, even though you have 4 bedrooms, that might not be the kind of size that you're looking at, which is why probably you might be confused as to whether should you get that new condo project development vis-a-vis getting probably a strata or a landed. So probably size will be one limitation, which then means that if there's a limitation on newer projects and you really want to have the size, then you might have to go for an older kind of development. So of course, older kind of development in terms of facilities wise, it would then depend whether has that project upkeep its facilities or not, if it's an older kind of project, and whether do you like the location, do you like that the facade, do you like the project itself, and whether overall does it make sense for your family in terms of size vis-a-vis going for that strata and landed. What we do see, of course, is that there are a good deal of 99 years choices as well as freehold choices as well, but probably if you do a search, you'll find that freehold choices will tend to be more boutique developments. You will be able to get a more sizable unit if it's an older 99, but that will also mean that in comparison to a freehold landed, you cannot get that kind of freehold status if you are a freehold person. Alright, so probably to sum up, the cons of getting a 2.5 million kind of condo will be that if it's a newer one, the size might be smaller, it might not be what you need. Of course, if you like newer projects, then that might be suitable for you because new projects has better, newer facilities. You might have more different kind of advantages, like it could be an integrated development and stuff like that. Now, if you're going for an older 99, then probably it does not have the advantage as a freehold property, but that will also depend on several other factors like is it in a premium location? Does it have en-bloc opportunities and stuff like that? So there are a wide array of deeper topics that you will have to consider. So coming to the strata one, I think some of the limitations here and of course some of the possible blind spot is that you have to know that strata properties having two different categories. If it is a smaller strata development, you can only sell to Singaporeans, or permanent residents or foreigners with special approval from LDAU, the Land Dealings Unit on Singapore Land Authority. If not, then it can only be sold to local Singaporeans. Now, of course, if that strata house is located in an approved condominium development, then foreigners and PRs can buy as well. But that will also mean that it will likely be in the 99 years development, which is very common nowadays. And you have to know these two distinctions because that will affect your future exit. And if you're going for this direction, which is a smaller kind of strata development, so do also know that in future your audience will likely be a local buyer. Of course, another thing that we see in the strata project is that sometimes when it gets older, maintenance fee tends to scale up a little bit higher because there could be a lesser amount of residents there, and that will mean that there's lesser people to share the load on the maintenance fee, and thus the maintenance fee might scale up a little bit towards the higher end as it starts to age. One third thing to know is, of course, strata properties probably have a little bit of issue on parking, and because usually in the whole project the parking is only catered to the residents, so probably when you have visitors during Chinese New Year or Hari Raya, your friends might have to park externally and then walk into your project itself. And of course, similarly to landed properties, it also depends on how crowded the street is, which then prevents parking by visitors, so they might have to park on adjacent lanes as well. So comparing to condos, parking, if there are ample parking lots of visitors, then that might not be an issue. One last thing that we noticed for strata landed is that you are not buying the land. Please take note, you're buying the strata space, which is the same as a condominium strata project. So usually because of this, the way that it's constructed, the length on every floor plate tends to be slightly smaller than the pure landed. It's usually ranging at about 1,000 square feet per level. So take note of that if you are looking at strata landed property. Now, if you look at the pure landed, some of the possible limitations and blind spots that we note is that, of course, the number one thing will be maintenance. There will be maintenance issues along the years. There will be pest control issues as well. Sometimes your gate might break down. Sometimes there might be leaking on the roof attic. Sometimes there might be pest issues coming from the drain at the back. So there are probably different maintenance issues, and usually that will be the very common limitation that a lot of pure landed owners will face. But as you can see, there are no perfection in all kinds of properties. Every property has its pros and cons, which is very normal in this world. So for pure landed, of course, one of the other limitations is that if the street that's outside your landed property has limitation in parking, that could be a minus point if you have a lot of visitors visiting you. You could also get visitors that park outside that are not visiting your property, so it could be causing traffic issues as well. So that could be one. And of course, the third thing is that as your property age, then of course it might then lose out to the newer landed properties that are being constructed along your same street or your same area as well. So of course, to sum it up for you, let's talk about the last thing before we end off, is that what will be your possible future exit audience for this three type of property. So the first type of property, your future exit audience will be all the audience that is eligible to buy property in Singapore, because as a condo property, you can sell to Singaporeans, you can sell to permanent residents, you can sell to foreigners, and that will depend on their preference on the additional buyer stamp duty and stuff like that. But it's opened up to all profile type of buyers. Alright, so in terms of audience, I would say that for condo buyers will be 100%. The strata one will then be mainly Singaporeans if it's a smaller strata project. If it's a strata in a condo development, then yes, foreigners and PRs can buy. But do take note that probably you might face the same scenario again in future, because a person that is buying a 4-bedder condo versus a 4 to 5-bedder strata versus a pure landed, they might also be struggling with these three kinds of products in the market. And of course, the third thing for pure landed is that you can definitely only sell to Singaporeans unless the PR and the foreigner has special approval. If not, your main audience will be Singaporeans. But of course, if you were to ask me, a $2.5 million for pure landed doesn't give you a lot of choice in the market today, because for $2.5 million, most likely the property type that you will be getting will be the older kind of landed that will probably need a more extensive A&A or rebuild or a major renovation, which then will add up to your overall costing as well. But I think it really depends on your preference. End of the day, if you want a bit more flexibility to construct the architecture, and you want also to buy that freehold land itself, then probably go for the landed. And if you're a hassle-free kind of person, but you just want more space, then probably a strata will be suitable for you. But if let's say your kids really love to have that wide array of facilities, which the strata might not give you, which the landed will not give you, then if you find a condo that is sizable enough, but probably not as huge as the strata or the landed, but after you weigh your options, if facilities are also important, then probably go for the 4-bedder condominium right now in this life stage of yours. Alright, so I hope that this episode will probably help you a little bit based on our own opinions. Of course, we might have missed out some stuff along the way, but I hope that this pros, cons, plus the future exit audience will probably shed some light to help you with a selection. And we hope to see you on the next episode. This is Melvin Lim from Us Property Lim Brothers series. See you soon.